Welcome back to the Mod Squad Network's Conversations with the Mod Squad. I'm your host, Kevin, joined by Felix.
What's up?
And today we have Ace from Ace Economics here on the show with us. Thank you for joining us, Ace. How's it going, man?
It's going great, guys. It's an honor to be
How's it
here.
going,
Thank
man?
you. Yeah, real good. Thank you.
What anybody who does not know what Conversations with the Mod Squad is we interview YouTube personalities and let their fans get to know them more on a personal level. So thank you for joining us again, Ace. And I do have a couple questions. What is Ace Economics and how did that show come about?
Man, it's kind of crazy, but as you can see behind me, I used to be really pop culture media guy and just love doing media. And I used to work in that. And then after being out a couple years, I wanted to just start recording my thoughts on some things again. And I had a channel where I was going to do a few different subjects. And I started talking about on Fridays, I was going to do finances, economics, that kind of thing. And that one started taking off. So as that took off, I just realized, you know what, for this channel, that might be what people want. So it actually, originally the channel was called Ace in the Hole because it was supposed to be like, here's your little tips for certain areas of life, like your ace in the hole, your ace up your sleeve kind of thing. And but it became almost all stocks and the economy and stock market all the time. And so we started really going into that. And I talk a lot about just what's going on so people can make the best decisions. But also I cover a lot of in our markets, especially kind of how they're broken and just pointing out things that don't make sense often so people can kind of make up their own minds about where things could be headed or what it looks like. So, but yeah, I've been doing it about a year and a half and it's super fun.
Cool.
And I'm on about 4 nights a week. I do live shows. That's usually how I do it.
Oh, that's very awesome. I highly suggest everybody check out that channel. All right, we're going to start off with some thought-provoking questions, some
Word association.
Word association. Yes, I always forget exactly how to say that. Felix, go ahead and start us off, please.
All right, man. Word associations, whatever comes to mind.
Okay.
Western.
310 to Yuma.
That's a good one. The color. Wait, the remake or the original?
Oh, I gotta go with the Russell Crowe one, man. He's so awesome.
I'm not gonna lie, I like that one better too. The color green.
Hulk.
That's a good one. Hero.
What was that?
Hero.
Wolverine. That's my guy.
Another good one. I know. I see the.
Yeah.
That one's what, out of 1,000 or 500?
That's a good question. I haven't checked in a while. 1999 out of almost 2,000.
That's one I don't have yet. Network.
Ooh, that's a good one. Friends. I just think of the word friends. Yeah.
That's what's up. Adventure.
I like this. Yosemite, because that's where I grew up near, and that's where we'd always go on little outdoor adventures.
Okay.
Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, the first thing that came in my mind was Rosebud from what's it called? Oh my God.
The Shining? No.
Well, Shining, but also the original movie is dude, it's totally out of my mind right now. I can't believe I'm not thinking about this. But it's like it used to be considered like the greatest movie ever made by AFI and everything. From the 30s. Dude, this is gonna bug people. Are gonna comment on this. Trust me.
We're gonna let you know in the comments.
But yeah, it's
that's
gonna be
too
there.
funny because the next word is memory.
Bad. Fear. Spiders.
Storm.
X-Men.
And the last one is cheeseburger.
Ooh, favorite. It's like my favorite food.
That's what's up. Same here.
All right. Next, we're going to get into a little bit more thought-provoking questions. And to expand on Felix's cheeseburger, Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Um, okay, so I've thought about this a lot. All right, and the truth is that while there's a lot of good arguments for, I can't go there, and I just can't. And for one thing, a sandwich to me, the bread has to be open ended, so two pieces, whereas a bun
Yep.
is held together. And so that's right out right there. And then the other part to me is just I just can't, any kind of sausage, it has to be its own food. That's how I feel about it. It just, you can't mix it into a sandwich
Okay.
unless you slice it. That's the only exception.
To where it's flatter. To where it's flatter. It's
Exactly.
not a tube,
Exactly.
Right?
A sandwich has to be flat. It does. I just, or it has to be flat or roundish, but it can't be a full circle. Let me put it that way.
No, I love it. I love hot dogs, and when I think of hot dogs, I think of events. And one of the events I love going to is wrestling events, because when that wrestler hits that curtain, you know exactly who he is and what he's all about when that theme song plays. Now,
Exactly.
if you had a theme song that played every time you walked into a room, what would it be?
Oh man, that is a tough one. Okay. Dang, man. Wow, that takes some serious thought. So I'm gonna go as fast as I can here and try to hit something that really speaks to me. There is let's see. Man, you guys, that's a stumper. I'm trying to think. So I'm like right away, my brain's going to like, what are my favorite bands, some of my favorite songs, and you know what? Like it's gonna be cheesy because, country music sometimes gets a bad name, but there's an old Garth Brooks song that is, it's called "Against." I think it's "Against the Grain," and that song just every time I hear all the lyrics from that song, I feel like that's something that speaks very true to my life, and it works too because it's more of like a rock kind of country song. So it's not like twangy, slow.
Yeah.
It's really fast. And the very first words of the song are "Folks call me a maverick," and that's kind of like just,
I get it.
Speaks to like how I've done a lot of stuff in my life.
I like it.
So
No, I definitely get it. Well, speaking on music, what is your guilty pleasure car karaoke song? You know that song that you're kind of embarrassed that you sing along to, but you roll up the windows and turn the music up and just sing along to anyway.
Okay, well, you guys ready for this? Anything from the first Taylor Swift album. That's my guilty pleasure right there. Yeah.
This is the third Taylor Swift we've gotten.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I can't. Listen, so Taylor Swift, my thing is with her on this is that she used to rock. Okay, I don't care for the modern stuff too much, and it's almost like the bigger she's gotten, I like the music less. But that old stuff, man, that ripped for a girl who could just write songs. I can't help it. I liked it.
It's okay to be a closet Swiftie. It's okay, man. But speaking of being in the car, what's the farthest you've ever traveled from home on vacation?
On vacation, that's a good one. Okay, so I went when I used to live in California. I went all the way to New York, so that would have been the furthest.
That's literally
fully across the country. Oh, I actually got a better one because I just remember this. Now, technically, this was like vacation and not vacation because it was a school event, but it really ended up being a vacation. But went from California to Israel, so that would have been the farthest. But it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't officially a vacation, but it ended up a lot of it being a very relaxing hangout type of thing.
No, I definitely get that. Well, that's in miles, though. But if you could travel 10 years to the past or 10 years to the future, but only for 24 hours, which way would you go and why?
Oh, man. Only for 24 hours? That's really tough because I'm like, if I went back 10 years, I have a lot of advice to my younger self that I think could help. Probably make my life better. But I'd also really like to see what's ahead so I could kind of have a glimpse of, Back to the Future 2 style, what investments to make, that sort of thing. So Because I don't know if I could trust my older self to trust future self. So I'll go with the future one, because that way at least I could come back and make my own
Yeah.
changes for the future.
I like
And I'd
that.
like
I
to
like
see
that.
if the Niners ever win a Super Bowl again.
They won't. They'll choke again. How about a little color theory? How would you describe the color purple to a blind man?
Oh, that's good. Purple for me is always associated with royalty. So I'd say purple is like silk. That's kind of how I would think of purple. Like
Ooh,
a
I like
robe.
that.
I like it.
Yeah,
I
to
like
me.
that.
I think that's the best way to describe it.
I like that. All right. Well, what is the funniest thing to ever happen to you that you can legally talk about?
Oh man.
Keyword
Well,
there.
well, that's a tough one. There's a couple of legal ones, but I don't know if I want everybody to know about them. Man, but funniest thing to ever happen. That is tough. That's really tough. Okay. I have a lot of old stories from college and stuff that some of those were pretty funny, but oh man, this is tough, guys. This is real tough. Okay. This is me and my friend. All right. So this is kind
Okay.
of like, don't worry, buddy. If
Someone
you're
else under the
listening,
bus.
if my friend is listening, I won't share your name. Okay. Just so, but, okay. So my, oh God. So one of my best friends used to have this issue where every time he'd drink, he'd fall asleep and he'd pee himself. And this lasted for like 3 months. And it was just the weirdest little thing. So I'm taking him out to he comes down to visit me in Fresno. He was living back where we used to live, and he came down to visit me in Fresno because I just gotten out of school and I still stayed living there for a while. And he visits me, and I'm like, I'm sending you off to the military, so come down for 5 days. I'll pay for everything. And so he comes down. Well, he still had this issue going on at this time, right? But we're having a blast every night doing stuff. And so one of the nights I take him to this girl's house that I've been dating, because she had some friends over, and we're like, well, let's just party with all the girls we're hanging out with. Well, I pass out next to like the girl, and end up like we go to bed, and then he passes out on her couch. Well, I wake up the next morning and she's screaming at me. And we'd just been telling the stories like that night about what he'd been doing. And she's like, your friend pissed on my grandma's pillows. I was like, what? Well, I come downstairs. I'm like dazed and like, what is happening? And she's furious. And I can't find my buddy. I'm like, where'd he go? And he was my ride. I'm like, he doesn't even know his way
So
around
he bounced.
Fresno. Where is he? Yeah, he bounced. And so I'm like, well, I kind of need a ride. And she's like, you can find a ride. So I call a couple of friends, and one of my buddies, a great friend, right? He's like, I'll pick you up if you buy me lunch. I was like, okay. So anyways, we get home, and I'm like, I live in this apartment complex that's way off in the middle of nowhere in Fresno that's hard to find. And I'm just like, I'm worried about my buddy. I'm like, where'd he go? And he was drunk, and so I have no idea what happened, if he really did pee on her pillows or what. And so I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. So I go into my apartment and I see his car, and I'm like, oh, he made it. I run into my apartment, and my roommates are there, and I'm like, hey, is such and such here? And they're like, no, we haven't seen him. I'm like, well, his car's there. This is so weird. So I talked to my roommate, and we're like, well, I don't know what else to do, but it's time to work out. So let's go work out. So we go out to work out, and I stopped by his car, and I'm telling you right now, it was 105 outside. It was Fresno summer. I go and look in the car, and my buddy's in the back seat, butt naked, in the fetal position. I'm like, what is happening? So I'm like, dude. And he gets up and is like, oh, hey, what's up? And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, well, it got kind of hot out here. I'm like, why didn't you go inside? He's like, and anyway, so I was like, well, we're going to go work out. And he's like, oh, I'll come. But he comes with us. And anyways, he tells me that like, he got up to get a drink and he spilled a drink on our pillows, but he knew that he told everybody he'd been peeing himself every night. And he was
Oh,
so
just a
scared.
drink.
He was so scared that he just left.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
But and she broke up with me. It was her
It wasn't
grandma's
your
hand
fault.
pillows. I know.
Wasn't your fault.
She never believed me that I didn't pee on her.
Who works out naked though? That's what I'm thinking the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I made him get dressed first.
Well, if you were to actually poll your family and friends, what would they say you're most known for?
Oh man, what am I most known for? That's a great question. I
Throwing
think
his buddy under the bus.
What's that? Yeah, throwing my
Throwing your
buddies.
buddies.
Yeah. I protected his name. No, that's tough. But I'll say one thing is I actually get teased about this a lot. Is that and I've been teased about it since I was in college. But I've been through a lot of stuff in life. We all have, right? But
Yeah.
I've always made it a point to try to always stay positive no matter what. I just believe that's the best way to move forward in life
I like it.
and
like
find
that.
success and stuff. And so, and I have people, like I said, I've always been teased about it. Yeah. In fact, in college at my work, one time a guy, he was a buddy of mine, but he was always crying about everything. And he's like, one day I was just telling him like, oh, what I see, da da da, and he was like, whatever, Optimus Prime, because the Transformers movie had just come out, and I was like, well, whatever, Negatron. He was always negative. But anyways, yeah, I think my friends and family would say that, no matter what I've been through or being around me, I always try to keep the environment up, lift things up, and without being insensitive, because that's the other thing, right? You can be positive but kind of overlook people's pain and stuff, and I really don't ever want to do that, but I also don't ever want to get to the point where I become hopeless. So it's a fine line to tread, but I feel like that's something that I'm actually proud of myself for being able to do through a lot of the stuff I've been through in life.
That's cool. I like that. The power of positivity, man. Power of
Absolutely.
positivity.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I'm a Superman guy, but if you had superhuman powers, what would they be, and would you use them for good or evil?
Oh, that is such a good question. I've thought about this a lot, so I think I'm kind of ready for it. I feel like the best powers to have they're not the coolest powers, but I think they're the best. For one, flight is just, everybody wants to fly, right?
Yeah.
That would be awesome, just to be able to leave and just jump and fly off and go somewhere. So that would just be the fun one. That's also really useful. But man, I gotta say, I think telepathy has got to be so useful, because you could just be ready for anything. You could cheat on anything if you wanted to. I would definitely want to use it for good, but there'd be a lot of temptation also to maybe get some insider trading going on or something. But but other than that, I mean, I think that would be useful, because think about in relationships how many times people are mad, and it's just because of lack of understanding. I think that could be really helpful to get to the root of stuff and really navigate relationships well and help people do all that. So I think that would be, the older I get, Wolverine's my favorite, and healing factor would be dope too. That would be awesome, because you could just do whatever pretty much.
Yeah.
But man, the older I get, I'm like, man, Professor X really had something going on there.
That's why he was the leader, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I get it.
Not flashy, but it's important.
It works. Like I said, I'm a Superman guy. I love comics and stuff like that. What single piece of media, whether it be book, movie, or TV show, has had the most influence on the person you are today?
Oh, that's a great question. So I'm into all kinds of media. I have hundreds and hundreds of comics, mostly X-Men, and that was huge on my younger life. And then music's always been very important to me. I love reading. Reading has changed my life. So many books. But the number one that has just impacted me the most from a young age to still now is movies. I've always been a cinephile. I've always, since I was probably about 13, just got hooked on cinema. And so many movies have changed my life as far as like characters or storylines or inspiration. So many have spoken to me. They've opened my mind and led me through. Some of them would comfort me depending on like my mood. Sometimes I just, you guys, I know you're the Mod Squad. You guys know, like sometimes a movie is just like, you're in a certain mood and you're like, I need to watch this movie like right now, because
It's like comfort food.
exactly. The reason I know it's number one is because it's still the media I get most excited about every year. I want to see what's coming out. I want to have an opinion on like the Oscar movies. I want to know the blockbusters, and nothing ever gets me more excited than when a big movie that I'm excited about gets out. And so that's why I know it's still number one for me.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, if your life was a movie, what would the title be and who would play you?
That's a great question. So, well, when I was younger, I was, younger guy, little self-obsessed in my own world, like all young men tend to be. I would have said Good Will Hunting, because everybody just kind of wants to be that guy who's got the special thing that's discovered. But as I'm older, hey man, that's a really good question. I don't know if any movie really takes my life and is like, oh, I identify with everything in this movie. There's movies that are like a little bit here, a little bit there. But I can tell you that the movie that still never stops speaking to me in new ways, never stops inspiring me, taking me through every emotion I want to go through. Also, I feel lifted up at the end, and it's so funny because it's not realistic at all. But it's those Lord of the Rings movies, man. They just I get everything I need from those movies, from humor to sacrifice to honor to inspiration to everything. It's just there to me. And but if I had to choose a character in those movies, I'd choose Aragorn, because that is the guy who I feel like that I understand. Not that I've lived it the same way as him, obviously, in the movie, but I understand that idea of like not wanting to be what you're kind of meant to be, and having to like make peace with it. Yeah. And becoming the best thing you're meant to be, even though when you kind of just want to be alone or left alone kind of thing. I really identify with that, at least have at points in my life. And then if I had to pick a guy to play me, I would pick not late 90s, early 2000s Russell Crowe. Because, he's a little grumpier than me, to say the least. A little more serious.
Maybe not back then, though. Maybe not back then, yeah.
But the one thing I have that a lot of people don't see, because it's usually behind the scenes, is there's a real intensity in my life. And I think if you're in a movie, you're actually seeing that behind the scenes, that working through stuff. And I think Russell Crowe really amplified, well, when he was in his peak anyways, really was the best actor at portraying like intensity of emotions and actions.
Oh, I like that. I like it. I love movies. One of my favorite movies is Castaway, where he's stranded on a desert island. If you were stranded on a desert island, what 3 items would you take with you and why?
Oh, man. Okay, so do you mean like entertainment items, or do I need practicality?
They could be any items you want. You could, if you want to be entertained while you're stranded there, be entertained.
So, there's no electricity and I don't want batteries. So I think I got to put movies and music out, because it would really suck to take them with me and then a day later never be able to use them again. So I would want to take something where I could create fire. That's a necessity, so I could cook and make it kind of easier. I don't want to be cracking rocks and sticks against each other. Yeah, so as much of that as I can have. I'd want to have a sleeping bag, because let's face it, nobody wants to sleep in the sand all the time. And then I'd want something to do. So I'd have to have like either a solar powered laptop, or like a really good book to keep reading. And eventually you're going to get tired of the same book all the time. So yeah, something like electronic that's solar powered that has some kind of connection.
Yeah, like a little
Hopefully I
Game
set up.
Boy,
Yeah,
handheld
hopefully
Game
I
Boy or
set up my
something.
Starlink account before I get out there. So I have Wi-Fi.
All right. Well, if you could switch lives with someone for a day, who would it be and why?
Oh my god, that is so tough. Yeah, you know what? I just said Starlink, but I think Elon Musk would be fascinating to be for a day. I mean,
You
he's got
would.
all
Yeah.
that money, but also all that like behind the scenes stuff of what he's doing in his companies and everything. I would just love to get some insight in that world, and then I'd love to just throw up some crazy tweets on X and see what I can
Love
just
it.
stir up.
I love it. All right, these last two questions are a bit more thought provoking. What are your 1 year, your 5 year, and your 10 year goals?
Mm. So that's really good. Well, man, my 1 year goal is to, well, I mean, we're going to get really practical here, but in a year, I'd like to really just, I might have a YouTube channel and all that, but I'm just a regular guy. I'd love to just be out of debt and be
Oh yeah.
working
Oh,
ahead on, yeah,
preach.
living that like the American dream has so many connotations to it. But what I mean when I say the American dream is just be debt free and free to pursue my life with more. I don't need to be wealthy, but enough money to just not live paycheck to paycheck, so I can do stuff for me and my family. If I could do that in 1 year, I would do it in 1 year. 5 years, I'd love to be full time doing media.
Hmm.
That in 5 years, I think that's realistic. And so that would be the goal. I would love to do this. I'd love to be hanging out with you guys and stuff like this all the time. Just like you guys understand, I got a lot of thoughts to share,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah,
always more.
that's why we started our channel. Really,
Exactly.
we had stuff we needed to do.
Yeah. And then at 10 years, if I hit that 5 year goal, my goal would be to be growing that like into a full functioning business where I'm also bringing up others so that I have enough to bring up others into their goals, whether it's
I like
media
it.
or do this over here. My long-term goal has always been to be in a place in life where I'm helping others get to their dreams easier, because it's been very hard for me. And I'm 40
Right.
and I'm just starting to see some of them. And you guys, I sure understand that. It's like I feel
Mm.
like they say the millennial generation, we've gone through two financial crises. We might be heading into a third. We've got COVID. It's been insane. We're the first generation in American history that is on pace to be worse off financially than our parents were. Every other generation in American history was better off than the generation before it.
I believe
And
it.
we're the first. And so I would love to be a part of someday of reversing that trend. And so I just want that I think everybody deserves at least a shot.
I love it, man. I love it. And the last question I have for you is, if you took center stage to the world and you had everybody's ear, what would your message be?
Man, that's so good. Um, I mean, the main message is don't give up. There's always hope. There's always hope. You can always better yourself. And it starts with yourself. It does. It's one of the things I had to learn, and I wish I'd learned it sooner, but I didn't learn it till my late 30s, was that even if somebody else is the one who hurt you, using that as an excuse, it just holds you back. You have to fight through it. You have to push through, grow, and then take responsibility on for yourself and how you grow. And if you do that, and don't give up, I believe that there's always exceptions, but I believe the vast majority of people can eventually get to where they want to be. And that's what I'd say. Because I tell you what, guys, I've lost a lot of stuff in my life. I've lost jobs. I've lost family. I've almost lost my marriage at one point. But as I kept taking my responsibility on and getting out of feeling sorry for myself and blaming, everything started turning around. And it was because I got better, not because my situations got better, but because I got better.
Right.
And I refused to
love it.
stop. So that's what I'd
That's a
say.
good message. It's a great message. All right, that is all the questions I have for you at this time. Felix, would you like to finish us off with some this or that rapid fire?
Yeah, I got some rapid fire this or that. But
Do
before
it.
we get into that, again, I just wanted to. A lot of people out there probably don't know this, but Ace has a part in the Mod Squad being a thing. So I just
Yep.
wanted to say thank you again for that.
Thank you very
And
much.
here we go. Is the term GIF or GIF?
You know, okay, so I think it's GIF, but I say GIF. Does that make
I
sense?
say, yeah,
Yeah.
I
I say
can't get the
GIF too.
stupid G out of my head.
Is it Android or Apple?
Oh, I'm an Android guy for sure. Yeah.
See? DC or Marvel?
Sorry, Kevin. Okay, so I'm a Marvel guy, but I will say this. I like the Marvel universe better, but my all-time favorite comic book character is Batman. But everything
fair.
after Batman, I like Marvel better than but Batman is my
I get
favorite.
it.
So there's my kind of my concession to Kevin.
Your wishy-washy answer.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Xbox or PlayStation?
Oh, PlayStation. Yeah. Never owned
Cat,
an Xbox. I'm a PS guy since the beginning.
Yep.
cats or dogs?
Dogs. Yeah.
Prince or Michael Jackson?
Ooh, now that's a good one. Ooh, I feel like either thing I say is going to be blasphemous, but oh man. Okay, so personally, MJ, but I do think Prince was the bigger talent. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. I agree.
Okay.
Geek or whore?
Geek, yeah. I get
Checkers,
scared.
checkers or chess?
Chess, I like chess. Yeah, I love chess.
Books or ebooks?
Books, I can't do reading on digital screens. I just can't do it.
Wolverine or Professor X?
I still personally like Wolverine. Yeah.
Okay. And the last one I got is soft or hard tacos?
Ooh. So in Texas, I just got to tell a little story on this one to tell my story
That's
real
good.
quick. In Texas, they do soft tacos so much that it's like what I thought in California was a burrito. They call a soft taco in Texas. And I'm a burrito guy, so I still love those. But if I'm eating what I think is a taco, I want it hard shell.
Hard, yeah. I get it.
But those burritos, I was like, this is a burrito. They're like, no, that's a soft taco, bro. I was like, well, what? That doesn't make sense to me. But anyways,
But they're so good.
I get
they're
it.
so good. Texas Mexican food is the best.
It is. All right. Well, that is all the questions we have, except for one final question. What do you have coming up, and what would you like to promote, sir?
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. So my main channel is Ace Economics, and that I do live shows Monday through Thursday, and then sometimes I do a bonus one on the weekend if there's a lot of news coming up. And yeah, just check it out. That's all I got. Nothing special. I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to get more interviews on, so people might find that interesting. But other than that, the live chat's fun because the thing I try to make my channel different than so many others is that because it's live all the time, I really try to interact with the crowd all the time. So as many questions and comments as I can get through, I try to get through along with doing the rest of the show. So if you guys are into that out there who's watching, if you want to know more about the state of our economy, the state of our stock markets, you're getting interested in investing, all that, just come join us and throw your questions at me. I'd love to talk to you, and I'd love you to be a part of the community. And we are like a community too. It's the same. The people, once they get a part of it, they seem to keep returning, and it just becomes fun. And we have a lot of fun, even though a lot of the subject matter is pretty serious. So, and by the way, these guys will tell you I love pop culture. So never hesitate to throw a pop culture question at me too.
That's good.
All right, I do believe that does it for this episode of the Mod Squad Network's Conversations with the Mod Squad. I want to thank Ace for joining us. So for Ace and Felix, I am Kevin saying, if I don't see you again, thank you for being a friend.
Thanks,
ya.
guys. Thanks for having me.